I'm Tom, and welcome to Garage Brewing, Homebrew Wednesday number 4. Now, this is a continuation of Homebrew Wednesday number 3, which, as you might recall, was Wild Hop Brew Day. About a month ago, on September 1st, just about exactly 4 weeks, I brewed a 10-gallon batch with 22 pounds of Maris Otter, nothing else, about 10 kilos, and just a few hop additions. So it wasn't quite a smash beer, but a very simple pale ale nonetheless. What I wanted to do was showcase some hops I was growing in my backyard. I had about 6 or 8 ounces of fuggles that I'd harvested from the backyard, whole cone fuggles as well, because I didn't think that would be enough. I found some hops at a neighbor's house down the street, actually, some hops growing wild. They let me harvest them. I collected as much as I could, about a 5-gallon pail of them, and added those to the brew as well. What you didn't see at the end of that last video was me trying to get the wort out of the kettle. Once I'd added all those whole cone hops to the pot, I forgot that fresh hops absorb a lot of wort, and they get big and they sink and they clog up my drain port. So when I tried to open the ball valve and fill my fermenters at the end of the cooling session, nothing came out, not a drop. So I fished around for a while, had to unclog the spigot. That didn't work. I ended up siphoning as much beer as I could using an auto siphon, and at one point I was even scooping out as much wort as I could from the bottom of the kettle to top up the 2 fermenters. It worked out pretty well. I filled both pails probably 25 liters or so, which for me is plenty. I fill 19-liter kegs, and it worked out pretty well. I let those ferment, both of them using a very healthy starter of some London dry ale yeast. And what it ended up with about 2 weeks later was a really mildly hopped, I would say 25 IBU, nothing special, fairly plain, light-tasting beer. According to the gravity readings, it's around 5.5%, but there wasn't much flavor there. The malt certainly came through. There was a very toasty Maris Otter flavor to it, not overly bitter, very little aroma whatsoever. So I ended up transferring both of those to secondary, and to one I added an ounce of Simcoe, and to the other I added everything I could find in the freezer. I added an ounce of Magnum, an ounce of Styrian Golding pellets, and also an ounce of Amarillo as well. So 3 ounces of dry hop to one of them, 1 ounce of Simcoe hop to the other one. And the other big difference that I had was I didn't have room in my house. It was very warm last month, so I ended up fermenting one of them in a pail in the back room at about 23 degrees Celsius, which is pretty warm. It was probably a lot warmer than that in the pail too. And the other one I fermented in my empty kegerator because I had no beer on tap at the time. And it fermented around 15 degrees. And the difference between the two was quite striking. The one that fermented at above 20 degrees has a lot of caramel notes to it, besides being very hoppy, because that's the one I added 3 ounces of dry hop to. So it's got a lot of hop aroma. It's actually kind of confusing and muddy flavored, the hop aroma. The other one that I fermented cooler came out a lot cleaner, and also by adding only the 1 ounce of Simcoe, it's right there. It's very bright, it's very citrusy, it has a very different flavor than the other one, which is a little muddier, probably because of the high fermentation temperature, and also probably because I dry hopped it with more than I probably should have. What's the moral of this story? Well, the lesson learned for me is the next thing I'm going to try, so I might do the smash beer concept again with just one kind of malt in the mash. And as well, I'm definitely going to start playing with fermentation temperature. I know everybody says it makes a big deal. I've never tried it myself. Fermenting at a lower temperature certainly has made a different flavor to the beer than I'm accustomed to making at home. So maybe that's the next thing I'm going to experiment with, is fermenting at a lower temperature. Winter's coming here too, so I pretty much won't be able to avoid it. I got a couple of spots here in the house and in the cellar that stay pretty cold in the winter. So not quite lagering temperature, but I can certainly get away with fermenting around 10 to 15 degrees easily, I think, in the coming months. So I'm going to try this experiment again. Just Maris Otter. Maybe I'll make a proper smash with just one kind of hop, but it's worth doing. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.